So as I say, welcome everyone to the Partneriaeth Scrutiny Councillor group on the 3rd of March. And Michelle, do we have any apologies?
Yes, we have apologies from Councillor Peter Black, and Helen Morgan-Rees has given her apologies to the director from Swansea.
Thank you. Any others from anyone? No, great, fine, thank you. If there are any disclosures, let Michelle know and she will send you the necessary template for completion. In your pack, you've got the letters and minutes of the previous meeting, which was on the 18th of November. With regard to the minutes, can I have approval that they are a true record? Yes, okay, great. Take that as a yes. Thank you. And the letter there was to note the letter that I sent to Councillor Glynnog Davis, who chairs the joint committee. Immediately moving on, we've got the outline of the outcomes, number 4, of the Partneriaeth Joint Committee agenda held on the 21st of February. And over to you, Ian.
Yeah, Chair, thank you very much. I'll just give you a quick whistle-stop tour around the minutes of the meeting on the 21st of February. So we received the letter from yourself, Chair, to Joint Committee from the Partneriaeth Scrutiny Councillor group. So that letter, was warmly received by the Joint Committee. There were then a couple of items around audit. The first one was audit inquiries to those charged with governance and management. So the Joint Committee considered the response to Audit Wales in respect to audit inquiries for 23-24, and noted that Audit Wales are required to conduct their financial audit, and that response to Audit Wales was approved, and that work will be ongoing. The next item was the audit plan for 2024 from Audit Wales, and again, Joint Committee received the audit plan outlining the work to be undertaken by Audit Wales in line with their statutory duties, and that detailed focus on financial statements, any financial risks. There was financial statements and audit timetable, and the audit plan was approved by the Joint Committee as well. So that work will continue moving forward. There was a financial update report then, as is usually the case. This was an update at the end of Q3, so up to the 31st of December 2024. So that update was given by our Deputy Section 141 officer, and again the financial report was noted by the Joint Committee, as well as the point in the report that there was some additional funding required from reserves as part of the staff exit costs in the summer due to accrued leave and issues around the date of termination, etc. So again, that went through our Joint Committee. The next item was another financial item in terms of our draft budget for 25-26. So Joint Committee received for their consideration and in principle endorsement of the draft budget for the next financial year. So that draft budget was included some assumptions and estimates, issues around local authority contributions, service level agreements and reductions in those service level agreements, a full draft budget for 25-26, and some of the risks and opportunities, as is usually noted within the report. So in response to queries there, obviously the Joint Committee were advised that the budget was complicated. As we move forward, there is going to be a national body for professional learning that Welsh Government are setting up, and there are some unknown elements in terms of the funding moving forward around some of the work currently undertaken. So we're still waiting really for the information around the full function of the national body and what work streams are going to be developed and delivered. So in addition to that, as well as some reduction in the local authority education grant, it was noted that there was, still some work ongoing really with directors of education and their finance teams to, ensure that the budget was set, and there would be some further discussion around that. But obviously it was noted that we were looking for to be financially sustainable really moving forward. So the Joint Committee essentially approved the draft budget in principle, but noted the final budget would be approved as part of the new collaborative agreement really once confirmation of funding from Welsh Government and local authorities had been received. It was also noted that there will be need for a final Joint Committee meeting later in the year to approve the statement of accounts as well, and just with that one item on there. So it was resolved that the contents of the report was noted. The draft budget for 25-26 was approved in principle, subject to any change once the confirmation of funding is received. The SLAs for 25-26 were approved, and the contributions from reserves in lieu of local authority contributions were also approved as part of that item. The next item on the agenda was an update from me as lead officer of Partneriaeth. So I submitted a report updating the current provision, or the provision at the end of the autumn term, in line with LAEG funding expectations. So that report is also in your pack for this meeting, so I won't go through the details there, but the report and update were accepted by Joint Committee. Similarly with the risk register, that the Joint Committee received our current risk register based on our current business planning, and again the risk register is in your pack for this meeting, and I'll give you a brief update on that later on during the meeting. And that's a quick update, Chair, on our Joint Committee meeting from February. Diolch. Sorry. Sorry, Chair, you're on mute.
Mute, yeah.
That's about the first. Sorry about that. Yeah. Can I, before I ask to open up the questions, welcome Stephen to the meeting. Welcome. He's our lead director, obviously, for Partneriaeth. Are there any questions to Ian? No, I just wanted to, obviously the draft budget was approved. Oh, yes, there is. Councillor Emlyn.
Yeah, sorry, I'll just thank Steve for the update. Yeah, I was just in terms of, sorry, Ian, not Steve, sorry. Oh, we got in a minute. Thanks, Ian, for the update. Yeah, do you know, in terms of the collaborative work with local authority officers, do you find that works well? Do you know, are there any tensions there, or do you sort of complement each other well?
Yeah, I think it does more so than previously. I think the collaborative approach and working across the three is very clear. So any documents such as our strategy documents essentially are collaborative documents anyway. So we try not to write anything in isolation, really, or if we make a start, we will collaborate with local authority officers. And I think the mantra from all directors really is avoid duplication, and we're really trying to make sure that the work streams are clear and that there is that collaboration. So I would say that, you know, previously there's probably been a fair amount of tension in the system regarding who's delivering which work stream, but I think it's probably clearer than it's ever been in terms of what it looks like. So it's really yes, there is full collaboration, and I think where there is a risk of duplication, we're quite open and transparent with each other now, and we manage these things, and we do an awful lot of joint delivery now with local authority officers as well. And for the schools, I think it's a much clearer line of sight in terms of, you know, who's delivering what for them.
Great, thanks, Ian. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Obviously the Joint Committee approved the draft budget. When are you likely to get the confirmation of funding from Welsh Government?
I think it'll be, we've got our next strategy meeting with directors is later this month, so I think that'll be the next opportunity to have that conversation. I think in terms of what the national body will be delivering and how that will look, some of that information may not emerge until much later on in the summer term. So there are clear challenges there in terms of the full budget for 25-26. I think Stephen may wish to come in now in terms of the local authority position, but we're in a position now of discussing with our local authorities in terms of what the likely contributions will be. But again, it's quite unclear at the moment exactly what some of our priority 2 areas, such as the leadership programs, will look like from September. So we're clear over the summer term, but it is rather a period of uncertainty again, not of our making within the organisation, but in terms of what Welsh Government are doing with the national body. So I'm hoping that by the time we have our strategy meeting in later on in March, we'll have a clearer direction in terms of contribution. Although it may well be that we're looking in terms of the first 5/12ths of the year being discussed, and then a bit further clarity from September.
Yeah, when you say national body, what do you mean?
Well, Welsh Government have decided that some of the functions of professional learning, some of which were delivered by the regions and some by the National Academy for Leadership, would be developed nationally, essentially. So Welsh Government have taken some of the local authority education grant money, and they're going to put that into a national body that will develop some of these programs moving forward. What's not clear to us really is how they'll be delivered. So the Middle Leaders program, for example, is something that we deliver at the moment. It's well received. We've got, high numbers across your local authorities doing that. That function will go into the national body from September, but we don't know whether partners such as ourselves will be delivering those programs, if that makes sense. So it's a decision Welsh Government have made around some of the programs, and at the moment it's unclear, Chair, in terms of exactly what the delivery will look like.
Yeah, gosh, there is shocking in the sense that there's now uncertainty for you and indeed your staff to that degree what you're doing, but the others, so that is a worry, and that is obviously in the risk register, because that would be reflected in that if you can't deliver, or who is delivering, isn't it really?
Yes. Yeah.
It's interesting in the sense that we've come to a stage where I thought we had the settled will about Partneriaeth, because we've been through 5 managing directors, I think, over the years. You've been a constant and have been excellent, I would tell you, from the start. And when I certainly started, when it was Eru, and it was now the current leader of Carmarthen Council, and myself and one of the cabinet members in Carmarthen were the 2 people on from Carmarthenshire. And I know we led the charge on a range of areas that we were concerned about, but we seem to have got over that. The only problem is, I think, from an educational point of view, is that to get to this stage has cost probably millions, and we're now looking at doing some things back nationally So that is a worry, really. It's almost, when we talk about devolution, it's almost anti-devolution, where we're now going back to a national picture and not devolving down. But interesting, yeah. But fine, thank you, Ian. Anybody else got anything, or no? Okay, great, fine. Thanks very much. And it's a bit like, guys, the not that we mind. It's the Ian show. It's number 5. It's the update on the termly report, the autumn term 24.
Yes, Chair. So the report in the pack reflects the current level of support, really, offered by Partneriaeth across the business plan areas since September 2024. So we're currently offering a very good range of support in line with expectations from our local authority partners. We've provided a range of high quality professional learning through specific professional learning events, but also a range of bespoke and tailored support in your schools across those 2 priority areas of curriculum support and career pathways. We're offering a strong range of support across the schools and local authorities. We've got a range of evidence, really, from stakeholder groups and also, part of my previous answer really was strong collaborative working with local authority colleagues. There's that strong sort of bespoke and tailored support for schools and clusters, and again, all of this delivered in collaboration with your officers. We do evaluate each piece of professional learning, as has been evidenced in the report. And also in the report, what we decided was we pulled together a selection of cameos, really, for each area supported, so you could see some of your schools in the report in terms of what they are getting. It's only a sample, and obviously the annual report will pull together a little bit more detail, although we wouldn't put all of those in there because I've got advisors in your schools every day providing support, really. So it reflects the support across the local authorities, but also across the age range as well. So some of it is cluster working, some of it is work in primary, secondaries, etc. So the business plan is monitored quarterly. We're on track to deliver in all areas moving forward. Resources performance are discussed in every strategic group meeting with directors of education, and the information in this report will inform the annual report. And again, as discussed at the very start of the meeting, we'll be pulling that together really towards the end of the financial year, ready for summer term, and probably for me to present at individual scrutiny panels, I would imagine, in the summer or the autumn term. So that's a sort of brief summary of our delivery at the moment. And as I said, there'll be a full annual report with the financial outturn, etc., that will be available from early in the summer term. You're happy to take any questions on that.
Thank you again, Ian. Thanks for the work you've been doing. And I know that the work that Partneriaeth have been doing around cluster working and so on, because I've met a range of the clusters around the curriculum, and it is valued. So thank you for that, and it's certainly coming through. Any questions to Ian? No, that's that's fine. And as I say, obviously the work that you've been doing around, particularly with you mentioned with schools and how you are you're working with local authorities and the education sections in those authorities is working well in that sense, that collaborative working, and there isn't any duplication. That's the big thing, as you mentioned yourself, and I think that gives better value for money. Okay, great. Well, fine, thanks. And Ian, dare I say, you're back on again. We're racing at speed here. We've got the Joint Committee's Financial Affairs and Risk Management overview.
Diolch. I mentioned the first one, the financial report. So there's 2 reports in the pack. The first of which, from page 76, gives an overview of current finances within Partneriaeth. So it reflects that Partneriaeth is in line with expected expenditure for 24-25, and also notes the continued reliance on grant funding moving forward. And Chair, this is something you mentioned really in terms of the lack of clarity maybe moving into the summer terms. This is something also noted in the risk register, which is in the packs from page 80 onwards. It is the risk register from the from September, so it's our current business plan delivery. I think there will be some additional risks moving forward in terms of what the national body will deliver and how, but they're not clear and obviously not linked to our current delivery. So you'll note that the heat map indicates the following risks: the medium probability and high impact of lack of clarity regarding functions of Partneriaeth. And again, if our functions are going to change slightly from April onwards, there's another job of work to be done with our schools and partners to be as clear as possible. I think the line of sight between schools and the organisation is probably clearer than ever. But I appreciate any changes will mean that there will be a change in message in there to make the functions clear. And obviously the potential for that very high impact of local authorities receiving insufficient funding from Welsh Government to then support the running costs and the staffing costs of Partneriaeth. So this risk register was updated for September 2024. There were a couple of minor amendments to it, and the financial risk that was LA's providing insufficient funding to meet the running costs of Partneriaeth. That one replaced the risk linked to Welsh Government funding arriving in a timely fashion because of the change from a regional grant to a local authority grant, and that's relatively low scoring because we know we've received the funding from our partner local authorities for 24-25. So the risk register will then be updated to reflect the new Partneriaeth governance moving forward really from April the 1st, and that will be a standing item on strategic group moving forward, so directors are appraised of any of those risks. And as has already been noted a number of times, that risk around receiving sufficient grant funding will remain the case, and it's always been the case since I've worked as part of ERU previously, that flow of grant funding to the organisation to sustain staffing and delivery. So there's a quick update on our sort of financial picture at the moment and our risk management profile.
Right, fine. Thanks, Ian. Any questions, anyone? No questions there. The only thing I would raise again is the issue about the changes that might take place then that might be done nationally, and obviously that is something that needs to feature on the risk register because that will reflect what you do. And the concern that I have is the uncertainty for some of your staff as to what they'll be doing and where they'll be working from and so on, which is a bit unfair really, again, that you've got to go through that position. But thank you very much. And if there aren't any other questions, we are going through the meeting quite quickly. This I might add before we move on to number 7, and that's the letter that we sent to the chair of Partneriaeth Joint Committee. And Ian, you can escape at this point. But before I do that, I'd like to, this is the last meeting of this particular scrutiny group because of the reduced work that you do and the change in format. We now will be scrutinising Partneriaeth from our own council scrutiny groups that cover education. So I'd like to place on record my thanks to you for the great work that you've done. You've been there for ERU as well, and really you've been a constant and been well respected, I know, throughout that time, and with the teaching profession as well. So thank you very much, Ian.
Diolch yn fawr. Thank you very much.
And you can escape now if you like.
Marvellous.
Can I just amplify that before we losing
Certainly.
Ian? Yeah, can I just thank Ian as well? It's obviously we're living in troubled waters and very uncertain times, just sort of globally and sort of nationally. And thanks Ian for holding the ship steady and for steering Partneriaeth through a storm, I guess, in a sense, between finance and everything else. But no, I'm just disappointed that the Welsh Government now are adding to that insecurity by seem to be moving some kind of direction they think is a good one. But I mean, I think of all the good work that's been done with Erwan, with Partneriaeth, I think it's a shame really that that everything still seems quite uncertain, and I just hope that the morale of your team, that you can keep fairly buoyant amongst this during this difficult time, and hopefully we'll come through it and can still continue to support schools and staff in what they're trying to do. So thanks so much for your leadership. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Emlyn. Great. Thank you, Ian. And you can
Okay,
stay. You're very welcome to stay. But
I'll head off. Diolch yn fawr.
There we are. Great. Thank you.
Very much. Hwyl.
Bye. Right, the next item on the agenda is number 7, and that's to discuss points for the letter to the Chair of Partneriaeth Joint Committee. There we go. Right, I know that Michelle has been busily taking notes throughout the meeting and will send a draft letter round to us all. Have you got any points you'd like to highlight into it? Only one or two, if I can kick off one or two things I'd like to say is I think the risk to Partneriaeth being able to deliver, again, because of the uncertainty of how what the functions of Partneriaeth are going to be, and what work is going to be done by the national body as well. So, and how is that going to work, and will that interact? Obviously, how will that interact with local education authorities? Because over the period, as I say, to get to this stage, it's been a painful process. Partneriaeth has become, quite trusted with education authorities and with the work, and rightly so, with the work that they're doing. And therefore, will the national body have the same, if you like, chemistry with those local education authorities? And I think that is, I hope that will happen. But it is something that I think we should highlight as a worry. Because whilst they've got that collaborative working now with the education departments, that we would like to see that continue, because that is otherwise pupils are the ones who will suffer. So I think that is the concern, and also confirmation of funding, because the funding will depend on what the Partneriaeth are being asked to do, and if a lot of that work, or some of that work, is going to be done, go back to the centre, obviously there'll be a reduction in funding for Partneriaeth, or what are the contributions going to be made by councils? So those are the points I'd like to feed into the letter. But anybody else got anything? Well, if not, to get the letter, we'll send it round to you all for approval before it goes off. Okay, and there's Michelle coming on.
Hi,
by magic.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just very quickly, it's just about scrutiny of Partneriaeth moving forward. As Councillor Jones said, that we're that you'll probably do it within your local authorities. I don't know if you wanted to have a discussion that we can put in the letter about how you think that might work, whether it should be just done annually, or any thoughts about that.
Yeah, certainly. Ian mentioned, did he not, that the report will be coming out in the summer, and obviously it might be useful then to how do you see that working in your local authorities, in the education scrutiny sections? Rhys, for Pembrokeshire.
I'm having some problems here with my connection. So I only heard part of that, Lyndon. Apologies. What did you say?
Yeah, basically, with the changes in the arrangements now, and this councillor body will disappear. This scrutiny body, and the scrutiny is going to be done locally. So how do you see that working with your scrutiny hat on for Pembrokeshire?
Well, I suppose the scrutiny is only as good as the councillors that sit on the committee. Concerns I have with my particular committee is we have quite a wide range of members on there, but only very few active members. So I suppose the only concern from me is how much good scrutiny we're going to see. But I suppose that's the job for me as chair, to try and encourage and entice my members to look into this a little bit more seriously, because obviously now it's going to be on their radars more than anything. And then my plan would be then to compile any feedback from the committee when it comes to when it sits on the agenda, and feed that back into, I suppose, this wider group as such, because it's not, although we won't be meeting, I still will have the facility to write a letter to Partneriaeth and give my views and the views of the committee on a Pembrokeshire wide basis. So that's how I see it. It's a bit of unknown, to be honest, Lyndon. I'd like to tell you with a little bit more certainty, but I don't think I could at this point.
Yeah, I think obviously with we've been talking about it in Swansea as well, because we got a pretty busy programme, so we need to fit that into the programme during the course of. But it's vitally important, because it will be an important piece. But instead of this group won't exist, so it's us. It's as individuals, me as chair of scrutiny and education scrutiny in Swansea, I will have to contact. My panel will be contacting Partneriaeth directly about it, and I think therefore we need to fit that into the programme. We'll see the annual report, and then we need to, obviously there will be questions, but that will need to be fitted in locally. I don't know what the view is in Carmarthenshire, and sorry, can I bring Michelle in first? There we are, Michelle.
Yeah, just to say that I will contact your Democratic Services Scrutiny department and say that if you're happy for me to, that it should be highlighted for discussion at your next work programme discussion as to how it can be inserted into your work programmes. So there's that sort of link, hopefully, and then each authority can take it forward then. But it's interesting to hear how different authorities may look at it.
Right. Carmarthenshire, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's just, I think it's unfortunate the Welsh Government now sort of seem to be focusing on this national body, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of communication in terms of how that's going to be rolled out and how that's going to impact on Partneriaeth. So, yeah, I think we need to keep a close eye on it. No doubt we'll have, in terms of Carmarthenshire, we'll be talking regularly with our director and with our cabinet members just to see where we are going, basically. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's how life is these days. There's just no stability, is there? I think we need to monitor it closely. Sure.
Yeah, I think, and it will be down to each individual, scrutiny body, on education scrutiny body to do that. And it is an important piece of work, really. But it's a busy programme, and we've got to fit that in as well. Sue.
I'm just wondering what the best time of year is to put it into the forward work programme. I presume after the annual report, but perhaps you could give me some guidance on that.
I would think that would be the case. Ian mentioned the annual report being in the early summer, so I would have thought, obviously Ian will need to, spend time probably coming round each three of the groups, or we will have questions when we see that annual report. So I would think we'll need to look at it late summer or certainly early autumn at the outside, really. So it's a piece of work that will need to be factored in.
Thank you.
Okay. Great. We'll send, excuse me, we'll send a copy of the draft letter round to you all, and then you can, see what your thoughts are. And very often when you see a letter, you'll think of something else you may want to say as well. So they'll give you that opportunity. I'm going to say, but this is our last meeting. It's been a pleasure to work with you, and look forward to seeing you in different committees in different places. But thank you all very much, and look forward to working with you in some guise or other in the future. But thanks for what you've been doing.
Thank you, Lyndon, as well, for being the chair. So it's my first and last meeting, which is a bit surreal, but anyway. And thank you to Michelle as well for doing all the arrangements. Thank you to both of you.
Yeah, thanks. And great, excellent. Thank you, Richard. And I tried Stephen. Sorry about that. That's why you never answered.
Yeah.
There we are. But thank you very much. Right then, Michelle, and all of you, thank you very much.